I am a typical American and that I don't have time to miss work. I also don't have time for things that don't work. And this is one of the things that brought me to alternative medicine, is a lot of doctors were wasting my time. With radio wave treatments, to me, it should be a really common thing. I really believe that every American should have a zapper in their first aid kit. Um, and yeah, it is $200, sure. Every American family can't afford it, sure. Some people have pacemakers or metal implants, or a lady might be pregnant, she can't use it during the pregnancy because of the warnings from Dr. Clark that haven't been tested on these groups. Sure, there are people who can't use it, but there are probably people within that family who can use it, and in the case of an emergency, it might be, as a first line of defense, it might be the thing that saves your life. It might be the thing that gets you to the hospital on time. It might be something that can take care of minor things so you don't have to disrupt your whole life and take time off work and pay expensive medical bills for something that was fixable with a simple zapper. There are some things that the zapper doesn't work really well at. One of them is food poisoning, and the reason for that being um, the bacteria has a place to hide. And Clark mentioned this, basically that if there's a place to hide, the zapper can't get to everything. It doesn't really have good penetrating power. So with food poisoning, usually what I do is I'll take some oregano, or that's a brand name for oregano oil, and that'll get what's in the stomach. The zapper will get what's in the blood. And one time I remember, it was more a case of drink tampering than food poisoning. But it was basically so bad that I ended up just doing an emergency Hulda Clark style liver cleanse where, everything from the liver on down is flushed out, just basically to get it out of my gut and away from being able to generate any more, toxins into my blood. But the zapper is very good at getting things in the blood. And recently in the news, a Brazilian model died from one of these advanced PrEP infections that basically went into her blood, and they kept amputating and amputating and amputating, and until she finally died. And, my immediate knee-jerk reaction was, well, if she had a zapper, would it have turned out that way? I don't think so. Well, of course I can't say for sure, but wouldn't it have been nice if she had the option of a zapper as a first line of defense? Wouldn't she have been in better shape by the time she got to the hospital? There's a lot of things that are probably true. Obviously it doesn't solve everything, but it would be nice to have, and I think Americans should have that right. Right now the zapper is considered to be experimental medicine, and sure, I mean, Hulda Clark's book was published in '93 when I think that was the first time she announced her zapper to the world, and she had the plans in there and everything. She didn't patent it, so that, basically she was releasing it to the world for the benefit of mankind. The thing is, I mean, that's, right now it's 2009, so it's, 15, 16 years. Sure, that's still relatively new technology, but then you look at, like, drugs that have really shady research histories, and the FDA just trusting whatever the pharmaceutical company said they did and whatever they say the results are, and trusting that and approving drugs, and then the drug maker making billions of dollars and then it being yanked later when they find out it's killing people. I mean, there is a certain drug, I won't mention its name, that was voluntarily yanked within the past couple of years. If this video is viewed years from now, it'll be another drug because it's the same story repeating itself. So in that sense, well, first of all, new technology, until it's tested for a couple of years, new technology usually is very risky. I consider anything that's new on the market to be experimental medicine. Very experimental with a capital E. You don't want to try a new product, is what I'm saying. The zapper has been around for 15, 16 years. The whole reason I tried it, the whole reason I got into Hulda Clark was because other people, there was so much praise for the zapper on the internet. And I just bought it and put it in a drawer somewhere, and then when I was going to do more research on it before I used it, but then I had like a health crisis. I had a really bad flu, it wouldn't go away. It was the point where I was ready to go to the emergency room, so I pulled it out of the drawer and I tried it, and it worked. I mean, that night, the flu was over. You don't always get results that good. When you have a bronchial element to the flu, it has more trouble because And of course, I have a slight cold right now. But when there's a place to hide, um, yeah, that's a problem. And so, again, you take like the golden seal or the oregano or something to just chemically attack what's hidden there. But um, still, uh, 15 years, that's a very good track record. It's really been on the market. It's an alternative medicine. You have all these alternative people trying it. I haven't heard of one case of anybody hooked up to their zapper when they died. I haven't heard of one case of the zapper killing anyone or really injuring anyone. Other than minor inconveniences, of course, like the side effect of being really tired the next day, or a little bit when those wrist cuffs on one of the newer models gets old, and if you don't wash it really carefully and saturate a lot, you get like a little rash on your wrist sometimes. Um, but you can avoid that by buying new wrist cuffs. Of course, I don't like the cheapness of materials there where you have to keep buying and buying. I don't like designed obsolescence. I mean, to me, in the medical device world, it shouldn't be that way. But, that's the way, still, that's a flaw, but it's still a very good machine, and I wouldn't want to be without one. To me, I mean, even if it helps a little, and it has that kind of track record, it's worth it. But usually when I try a zapper, it helps a lot. Sometimes it shows the problem entirely. Maybe not, maybe not on the first day you zap it if you zap several days in a row. Usually there's nothing that can stand up to that. And even when I thought I had cancer, the zapper, I mean, cancer I discovered through this. Cancer is a very powerful disease to fight. I mean, it's hard. Even the zapper, I mean, cancer stood its ground. And I'll get into that another time. My protocol, or, I wouldn't call it my protocol. I strung a bunch of pieces from different protocols together, and believe me, the protocol will change if I have cancer again. If that doesn't work, I'll just keep adding things in. And everybody should. I mean, you shouldn't stand for no, you shouldn't stand for terminal, you shouldn't stand for anything like that. You should keep adding things in. Hopefully harmless stuff that has a good reputation for working. You have to remember those two things together. You don't want something that's going to hurt you, but you do want something that's a good reputation for working. And if you take many things that have a good reputation for working and have little or no harm to you, that is the best combination, and that's what I did. But when I first started, when I realized I had a problem, a bad problem, I mean, it was rough. I'd zap, and a few hours later, I'd have to zap again because it was that bad. But at least it got me through the emergency until I kept adding things in, until, suddenly my improvement just was ramped up tremendously. And in a few weeks, I felt I was better. I mean, not all the symptoms were gone, but they were definitely decreasing, and the crisis soon be over. And I'm at today, let's see, 3 years later, without any problems I know of. And, to me, it's like something that powerful, where, there's little to no side effects, and I don't know of any reports of serious harm. Maybe there are some, but even if there are a few, I mean, the number of people that use it, that product needs to be put on the market. Well, when I first got a zapper, and I don't know if it was both models, it had like a sticker on there, not for human use or something, because it's considered to be experimental. And to me, that would really discourage someone from using it, someone who's not familiar with medical politics. But at the same time, by the time somebody finds a zapper, if you go into, if you read anything about alternative medicine and you read it regularly, you start doing research, you realize alternative medicine is under attack in this country. It's under attack badly, and you start to get familiar with medical politics and who the people are, and that this is a game of suppressing your competition. So a lot of times by the time the people find the zapper, they realize what's going on. That's the good thing about it.